straight into the nitty-gritty kerfuffly whimsy of today's tantalizing question, as we are only getting older by the day, and time waits for no man or woman, despite time being an illusionary concept. All shall succumb to its passing figurative fervor. That includes the 2D beings that you treasure so dearly. 2D waifus won't be around forever, and it's quite frightening for some due to their fleeting youth being a signal-like checkpoint in their playthrough of the game called life, and their inevitable loss of mobility, assets, and rational consciousness. But fear not, as currently the appraisal and demand for older, wrinklier, aged, and mature specimens, especially of the 2D variety, are at an ultra-high level. I'm of course referring to the ever-sought-after hags. The recent explosive propulsion of devotion to these mature women has been noted and questioned by me, as I wondered, why is it hags are in such high demand, typically by the young adult consensus? Why even in the form of the dimension-defying 2D dimensional puppet vessels controlled by devolving 3D humans and a software-based intercoexisting sentience?
What the fuck?
Normally just called Vtubers. I cannot begin to tell you, researchers, how often I had hag after hag insinuation by these Vtubers show up in some way or other, to some extent or intent, in my studies, till finally I could not take it anymore and I succumbed to the incessant hag love. And I uncovered in the process the answer to this puzzling perplexation. So let's get to it for science, my degenerates. So, hypothetically speaking, what is a hag in this specific connotation and context? Well, you see, it's rather tricky. Usually when one thinks of a hag, they think of a festering, delusional, senile, ancient woman doing things like playing bingo, or crocheting, or cooking up unsafe brews and concoctions. It sounds like the average VTuber, does it not? Some might say it's quite coincidentally convincing that these VTubers are indeed hags. However, in internet degen terms, it mostly refers to women 30 years of age or more. Rather underwhelming with a term like hag, I know. However, in my search for the answer, I was convinced at one point that it was all a form of copium-induced delirium, or so I thought. I was foolish. You see, my first theoretical hypothetical was that they were in essence praised for being MILFs. Men and women all over the science realm adore MILFs, but without them having a child and all, this idea was laughably misguided, as VTubers are objectively incapable of procreation due to their very gremlin-esque nature and inability to look after themselves half the time. They don't have children and thus are incapable of holding themselves as candidates for the MILF title, the MILF tag. These 2D amalgamations that hold the soul of these 3D creatures known as VTubers cannot actually be MILFs, but they can be hags, as they have many qualities that true hags should ultimately have. Consider this, my degenerates. VTubers are known to be exceptionally old, with some being thousands of years old or some having no age at all and leaving it all up to speculation. Who's to say that insert VTuber here isn't in fact a modern day hag? But it doesn't end there. 2D VTubers also have limited mobility, just like hags. They have very gnarly unconventional cooking practices like a hag, or they can be stellar cooks like a seasoned veteran hag who's cooked for generations and decades and millennium and eons. They have irrational tendencies or thought processes.
I want them not to make them better, because they'll never leave you afterwards. So imagine them locked in this basement, blanket, but the blanket is a special cause because I want to push him down the stairs and then take care of him. They were like in the basement, there's no way they can escape, so what's other choice you can have than just like me back, you know? That's my biggest fantasy at the moment.
And they often require assistance much like hags. Not to mention they are often extremely clumsy, like hags. They sleep a great deal, my record shows, strikingly similar to a hag. They live in a state of disarray like an unattended hag, and they even have many insecurities. Fear of the outdoors, coupled with many other irrational fears, just like hags do. And they also are extremely forgetful, just like, you guessed it, hags. Now wait just a hag a minute, sorta. They seem to be hags, and that's all well and good and all, but why do we like them so much? Why, it's because of their charm and entrancing presence. Put simply, those anime hags are endearing to the current youthful generation. They are looked on with a sense of reverence, and it's undoubtedly likely that those who express the mentioned hag love, put simply, want to see these older women triumph and win the hearts of many, like an old woman winning a baking competition. These connoisseurs of hags adore these hags beyond the scope of physical attraction and praise, and apparently look more within. I have found that those who value hags don't want a lusty encounter or depraved fan service or scandalous steamy hot hand-holding necessarily. They don't even seem to want verbal favors like demanding ara-aras from dummy mummies. What I have realized is hag love represents solidarity for these women that are not at their finest youth, but are still capable. And if anything, it stands as a recognition of deep reflective beauty of the soul. Either that, or they just like their women like wine, aged, pent up, and ready to bust. If you guys enjoyed this video, theoretically if you have watched this far then you do enjoy my videos, feel free to leave a like, subscribe to become a certified top of the line, totally not delusional researcher, analyzer, or scientist, or what have you. Share this with anybody who you wish to spread my undoubtedly yet questionable knowledge to, and please share what it is that you think about these hags, and share your own scientific discoveries in the comments. Always do everything purely and only and solely for the purpose of science and the pursuit of knowledge, and I'll be back to answer another question not even scientists can answer.